And my time starts now. All right. Panel, if I can prove one thing, right? If I can prove in this entire debate, the aim of proposition in this entire debate is to tell us that if it is that they can have some sense of price stability, they will have economic activity. That's their main aim. They told us in the beginning of their first speaker speech, economic activity is their main aim. If I can prove in any of the 7 minutes of my speech that economic activity isn't approached or isn't achieved in their world, they lose the debate by 1. But secondly, if I can prove to them that even on their own criteria they lose horribly, then they will have reason as to why UNAM is the best university in the country. I would just love a little bit of applause just down so I can finish my speech. All right. The first thing we need to understand, right? They tell us that inflation is a rising price, right? And that there's a decline in what? Purchasing power. Okay? Meaning people won't be able to afford particular things. But what they miss, today's debate generally isn't about whether or not we should depeg from the South African rand or whether or not the CMA is problematic. Today's debate is entirely on one point, whether or not we should take the risk. It's like me advising a husband whether or not he should have 5 minutes of infidelity in comparison to going back to his wife because his wife is maybe pregnant and unattractive at that time. So the debate comes down to, is the risk worth taking? If it is that Namibia can recover if we go into that recession. I'll take you in my second last minute, all right? Don't disturb me until then. So we need to understand in one criteria. The first thing they tell us, economic autonomy. We already dealt with that in Desley's speech, where he told you that economic autonomy generally isn't something that is viable at this point. Why? Because we tell you that we are already part of various monetary area systems like the CMA. But the thing that they fight for is this thing of self-reliance and less imports and all of that. The comparison we need to draw is under whose world? Unemployment, that's their one criteria. Agriculture under that criteria. In whose world is the world better? But let me paint the picture for you. What does recession mean? This is what we need to understand. Recession merely means that investors won't be able to come to this country. Why? Because we have plunged our economic systems. The moment inflation goes high, right? And the prices are stable. What we're saying is that there isn't money that is circulating. The banking system and the financial institutions are being shut down or are temporarily bankrupt. This merely means that if there is no fiscal structure or financial structure in the country, the very investors that they're talking about are not going to come to this country. This merely means the multinational companies that are in this country are going to move out their money because it's going to be unstable. And even worse, to tell you that Namibia isn't going to recover from this recession, this is in Ileka's speech, where David tells you we are coming from post-COVID times. We are already in a time where we're in technical recession. So the question is, do we have the legal framework and the fiscal framework to recover if we take another risk? We tell you this is not viable because unemployment then increases even more. Because more graduates will be on the street and things like crime and even the very school that Meme Maria has to pay for her child is not one. Why? Because we tell you then if the money circulation doesn't happen because various financial systems are then crippled. Alright, so we need to understand one thing. Various things they tell us, right? What is their main case? They tell us entrepreneurs will thrive and that we need to build new infrastructure and that investors will come and there will be more economic forecast and wages will remain the same. Mr. Speaker, our burden in this entire debate is not rather to prove anything except for us to say that the risk isn't worth taking because our infrastructure is as volatile and very risky at this stage because we are just in post-COVID times. They tell us we need to invest in agricultural estates. You need to understand something about agriculture. It takes some time for us to reap some benefits. So what you're telling us right now is a very lucrative industry, but it takes some time for returns to come forth. So if we boost in this particular thing right now, and we head into recession, what is going to be our backup? The very agriculture is going to plunge even worse, because it is going to take us 20 years to recover, because we've gone into recession in a very industry that's already taking time to yield rewards. what is going to be the backup? So your agriculture and the very unemployment that is going to be caused by the very farms you want to bring forth is going to be backlashed, right? We won't have that very employment to talk about, and agriculture is not going to be there. You tell us things about adding value to local products. You have not in any sense of the debate proven to us how you are going to do that. You tell us about price inflation. Oh, I might as well come and tell you that I want to plunge more money into the ecosystem. I must tell you how. This is a pragmatic debate. The moment you can't prove that, you have already lost the debate, right? And even worse, we tell you, if the moment there is inflation, and inflations are very high in the country, people scare away from this, right? They don't want to plow into that economy because it becomes very volatile. These are cases like in Zimbabwe. No one wants to touch that economy. Why? Because the infrastructure is not stable. This is what you're risking us to enter. Now, how dare you is the question. You need to do something that Densely and David has done. They told us who's going to be because they can afford to sustain themselves. But the average Namibian that lives in Havana, Mr. Speaker, won't be able to sustain themselves. That means that Meme Maria selling food by the Havana bus stop won't be able to afford it anymore because there's no flow of income and the people and more people are unemployed, meaning we can't even buy into this very fed eggs that you want us to buy in the first place. So we see this as a backlashing form holistically. So the question is, unemployment, we believe we cater more for unemployment because at least we can mitigate the risk because number two, we are backed up in various things like the central monetary area policy. And they tell us that if we are depegged and we detach ourselves, we tell you now we become more fragile because we don't have any sense of camaraderie coming from other parts of the country. That's something important we have to know. And we tell you people are more disenfranchised. We tell you government has to roll out more things and more money and bring forth more loans and bring up more money for pension. And we believe this is actually intrinsic, problematic, therefore we rest our case.